I mean, just picture the sheer mental exhaustion of trying to, engineer the emotions of literally everyone around you.
Oh, it is exhausting. You're constantly anticipating a boss's unpredictable mood or...
Right, or you're trying to smooth over your partner's stress before they even walk through the door.
Yeah, or desperately trying to save a friend from the consequences of their own bad decisions.
Exactly. It's this profound, draining fatigue. But what if the cure to that deep, modern anxiety was simply dropping the oars and, refusing to fight the current? Welcome to the debate.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are unpacking Mel Robbins' Let Them theory. It's a two-part psychological framework designed to help us stop overfunctioning. First, you say let them to instantly detach from the compulsion to control other people.
Right.
And second, you say let me to reclaim agency over the only thing you actually can control, which is your own response. We're looking at a fundamental tension today.
We really are.
Does this framework offer genuine emotional liberation, or does it risk turning us into detached, passive observers who avoid conflict and treat relationships like disposable transactions? I strongly argue that this theory is the ultimate empowering antidote to the anxiety-driven control issues that plague so many of us today.
And I look at it with far more caution, to be honest. I mean, I completely agree that for minor daily irritations, the guy cutting you off in traffic, the incredibly slow line at the grocery store, or your spouse leaving their socks on the floor again.
The socks are a classic.
Right? For that stuff, this is a brilliant triage tool. But life isn't just minor irritations. When we scale this up and apply let them to deep relational fractures or toxic work environments or real moral failures, we risk enabling destructive behavior.
You think it goes too far?
I do. My concern is that by prioritizing our own swift emotional detachment, we are inadvertently feeding into a modern culture of premature estrangement. We're giving people a psychological free pass to just, ghost each other the second things get hard. Genuine human connection requires messy interdependence. Sometimes loyalty means you have to fight the current. You can't just drop the oars.
I hear that concern, I really do. But I think to really understand why this works, we have to look under the hood at the neurobiology of why we try to control people in the first place.
Okay, let's look at it.
The drive to manage others rarely comes from malice or ego. It comes from a hardwired biological need for safety. When someone acts unpredictably, or when they do something contrary to what we want, our nervous system doesn't just register it as an annoyance. It flags it as a threat.
Right, we get anxious.
Exactly, we get anxious. Robbins brings up this incredible analogy from Dr. Amy Johnson that frames this perfectly. Trying to change another human being is like paddling a tiny kayak upstream against a raging river.
You're fighting physics at that point.
Exactly. You're fighting a battle governed by the laws of physics that you cannot win. You are just exhausting yourself. Saying let them is the literal act of dropping the oars. You let the boat turn around and flow with the current. And here is where people misunderstand the theory. It is not a passive surrender. That's why the let me half is absolutely non-negotiable.
But let's pause right there on that river analogy, because flowing with the current sounds incredibly peaceful until you realize the water you're floating in is deeply polluted.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Let's take the workplace. Say you have a toxic boss who routinely takes credit for your ideas, or you're consistently being passed over for promotions you've earned. If your response is, let them take the credit, I'm just flowing with the river, aren't you fostering passive complicity?
Well,
Doesn't that uphold the very systemic unfairness we should be pushing back against?
no, because you're conflating internal emotional regulation with external inaction. When your boss steals your idea in a meeting, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is instantly hijacked.
Sure, you're flooded with stress hormones.
Right. Cortisol and adrenaline, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and long-term planning, literally goes offline. If you react from that hijacked state, you waste massive amounts of cognitive energy, ruminating, complaining to coworkers, or lashing out.
Which usually backfires.
Exactly, which only harms you. Saying let them in that moment is simply the mechanism to neutralize the amygdala hijack. It's a circuit breaker.
Okay, so it stops the immediate freak out.
Yes, think of your energy as a finite currency. You only wake up with so many dollars of cognitive energy each day. Every furious, ruminating thought about your boss costs you $1.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Let them be a jerk isn't surrendering the war. It's refusing to fund a battle you can't win. You cannot change your boss's personality, so you stop wasting your capital on their behavior, which preserves your energy for the let me phase.
Which looks like what, practically?
Let me document my contributions in writing. Let me refuse to do uncompensated emotional labor. Let me quietly update my resume. You aren't being a doormat. You're becoming a strategist.
A strategist who ultimately leaves, which is fine for a bad job. But I worry about applying this transactional strategic mindset to personal relationships.
How so?
Feeling superior to a toxic boss is one thing, but when we bring this into our homes, we start building emotional walled gardens. Let's talk about expectations.
Okay.
Well, Robbins suggests that expecting a friend to text you back or expecting a parent to show up for you in a certain way sets you up for suffering. So the cure is to lower your expectations and just let them be inconsistent.
Well, adjust them, not necessarily lower them.
But isn't expecting basic loyalty, communication, and effort the very foundation of a healthy relationship? If we strip away expectations just to protect our own peace, aren't we insulating ourselves into total isolation?
You're framing it as lowering expectations, but the psychology here is actually about adjusting expectations to align with empirical reality.
Meaning what exactly?
Meaning, how many of us are utterly exhausted because we are in a relationship with someone's potential rather than the person standing right in front of us? You aren't building a wall. You are dismantling a fantasy.
But sometimes people need us to hold them to their potential.
To an extent, yeah, but trying to force it destroys the bond. Think about the story Robbins shares about the mother who categorically refused to visit her daughter in Vermont.
Oh, right, the one with the childhood trauma?
Yes. The daughter was deeply hurt. She had this expectation of what a grandparent should be, visiting the house, playing in the yard. But the reality was that the mother associated the state of Vermont with a severe, unresolved childhood trauma surrounding her own grandmother's sudden death.
Which is a heavy burden to carry.
It is. And if the daughter had fought her, guilt-tripped her, and clung to that rigid expectation, it would have created a massive, permanent rift. By saying, let her stay home, the daughter removed the pressure. She accepted reality.
And ironically, creating that frictionless space is exactly what allowed the mother to eventually process her trauma and visit on her own timeline.
Exactly. It gave her the space to heal.
I'll grant you that that is a beautiful outcome for that specific family. The friction was removed and healing happened. But I think a lot of people listening right now are tensing up because what happens when the stakes are infinitely higher than a weekend visit?
Higher stakes, like what?
What about the morality of letting someone fail? We have to talk about addiction or loved ones making deeply destructive life choices. If we apply this theory literally, we are told to let them relapse or let them hit rock bottom, because rescuing them robs them of the chance to learn.
It's the hardest part of the theory to implement, for sure.
I understand the clinical definition of enabling, but drawing a hard, clean line between supporting and enabling is agonizing. When you're watching your child or your spouse drown in real time, dropping the oars feels indistinguishable from abandonment.
I completely understand why that makes people bristle. The emotional toll of stepping back is brutal. But we have to look at the psychology of intrinsic motivation.
Okay.
We have a desperate, almost obsessive need to soothe our own anxiety by engineering safe outcomes for the people we love. We jump in to fix things because sitting with the discomfort of their struggle is too painful for us.
Right. We want to alleviate our own pain by fixing theirs.
Exactly. But when you constantly intervene, whether it's bailing them out of debt, fixing their mistakes, or managing their sobriety, you are subconsciously communicating a devastating message. You're saying, I do not believe you are capable of doing this yourself.
But sometimes they aren't capable. Sometimes the disease of addiction or the depth of the crisis has robbed them of that capability.
If they truly lack the capability, then your intervention is just delaying the inevitable while destroying your own life in the process. The hardest working person in any room needs to be the one with the problem.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. Robbins illustrates this dynamic with a much lighter but highly revealing example about her son's prom.
Oh, the taco joint story?
Yes. Her son wanted to take his date to a tiny, cramped avocado pit of a taco joint during a torrential downpour. Instead of doing the formal, dry, pre-planned dinner, her maternal anxiety spiked.
Any parents would.
Right. She wanted to swoop in, rent a car, change the reservations, and control the environment to ensure a quote-unquote perfect night. But stepping in wouldn't have been an act of love. It would have been an act of control to relieve her own anxiety.
Sure, let the teenagers get soaked and eat wet burritos. That builds character. I'm entirely on board with let them for a botched prom night.
Right, it's an easy win.
But the framework extrapolates this exact same logic into highly structured, almost clinical responses to profound emotional pain. Let's look at how the theory handles heartbreak.
Okay, the no contact rule.
Yeah, the advice is a strict 30-day no contact rule. No looking at their photos, no checking their location, no reading old texts. It cites a statistic that 71% of people feel significantly better after an 11-week healing timeline.
Which is statistically true.
But it treats the end of a relationship exactly like a chemical detox. Human beings aren't substances. We have complex, nuanced histories. By immediately defaulting to a rigid protocol where we just let them walk away and initiate a 30-day blackout, don't we lose the messy art of reconciliation?
We are not losing reconciliation, we are stopping self-mutilation. You say human beings aren't substances, but to your nervous system, a romantic partner absolutely acts like one.
Really? Like a drug?
Yes, relationships are physical. Your brain wires itself to expect their text at 5 p.m. You get a dopamine hit when you hear their laugh. The 30-day no-contact rule is grounded in hard neuroplasticity.
Okay, but...
No, listen. Every single time you look at an old photo of your ex or check their location on your phone, you are sending a jolt of electricity down that exact same neural pathway. You are physically keeping a dead dynamic alive in your body.
So the solution is just amputation?
The solution is recognizing that when someone chooses to walk out the door, throwing yourself in front of it only degrades your self-worth. You are abandoning yourself to stay attached to an illusion. Let them walk away is the ultimate acceptance of reality.
Okay, I see the logic.
And the let me that follows. Let me grieve. Let me sit with the physical withdrawal. Let me rebuild my routine is how you take responsibility for your own healing, rather than demanding that the person who broke your heart stick around to bandage it.
I understand the self-preservation aspect of it. I really do. But doesn't this hyper-focus on self-preservation inherently make our relationships transactional?
Transactional? How?
Well, we critique modern relationships for being transactional. You know, you text me, so I text you back. Yet this theory seems to offer an equally transactional solution. You don't meet my needs or you disrupt my peace, so I will emotionally detach and focus entirely on myself.
That's a bit of a cynical read, don't you think?
Maybe, but it operates on the premise that our individual peace of mind is the highest possible moral good. But is it? Throughout human history, our greatest achievements, our deepest loves, and our most profound societal changes have come from people who vehemently refused to just let them.
They demanded better.
Yes, people who held on tightly to each other through toxic, difficult, undeniably messy phases. I worry that in our modern quest for frictionless emotional lives, we are losing the resilience required to simply tolerate other people's flaws.
I love that you brought this up because it hits on a profound philosophical tension. But I think you are misinterpreting the end goal here.
How so?
The theory does not advocate for a frictionless life where you never engage in conflict. It advocates for ending self-imposed suffering. The friction of genuine, honest connection is beautiful, but the friction of trying to coerce someone into being a version of themselves that they are not, that is destructive.
I can agree with that.
There is a fascinating concept Robbins pulls from the sociologist Charles Horton Cooley, coined way back in 1902. I am not what I think I am, and I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am.
Right, the looking glass self. We are trapped in a perception of a perception.
Exactly. Think about how much of our daily exhaustion comes from that trap. We edit our words in meetings, we overfunction in our marriages, we bite our tongues, all because we are desperately trying to control what others think of us.
We want to manage their view of us.
Yes. So So when you say, let them think bad thoughts about you or let them misunderstand you, it isn't a call to be an apathetic sociopath. It is a call to be authentic. If your internal peace requires everyone around you to perceive you perfectly and behave perfectly, you will be at war for the rest of your life.
Freeing oneself from the prison of other people's opinions is vital. I don't disagree with the mechanism of the looking glass self, but I still question the long-term societal impact of universally applying this.
In what context?
Well, Robbins talks about adult friendships, specifically what happens in our 20s and 30s. The great scattering, she calls it. Friendship shifts from being this group sport based on proximity, like being in college, to an individual sport requiring deliberate, scheduled effort.
Which is very true.
It is. And her advice is to let people come and go, to recognize that timing and energy shift. And while that sounds incredibly enlightened and Buddhist, it also sounds like a remarkably convenient excuse for the loneliness epidemic.
Wait, how so?
Because if a friend stops reaching out, this theory tells you, let them. Don't take it personally. Just protect your peace. But what if they aren't just busy? What if they are silently drowning in depression?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What if they actually need you to paddle upstream for them, just for a little while, because they've lost their oars entirely? If everyone is just letting everyone else drift away to avoid the discomfort of reaching out, no wonder we are the loneliest generation in history.
That is precisely why the two parts of the theory cannot be separated. If a friend stops reaching out, let them. Stops you from making their absence about you.
Okay.
It stops the narcissistic injury where your brain says, what did I do wrong? Why don't they value me? I'm going to pull away too out of spite. That's what actually causes the loneliness epidemic, our own bruised egos. Once you use let them to clear that emotional static, you can transition to let me.
So what does let me look like when someone is depressed and pulling away?
Let me reach out without expecting a bubbly response. Let me show up with a coffee. Let me sit with them in the dark without demanding they be cheerful so that I feel comfortable.
Just being there.
Right. Robbins explicitly outlines this approach to supporting someone in a depressive state. When someone is in that hole, you don't aggressively ask what they need because they don't know. You just create an environment for healing. You pull back the curtains to let the light in. You take their dog for a walk.
Practical support.
Exactly. You don't judge them, you don't preach to them, and you don't try to frantically fix them to soothe your own worry. You let them feel their feelings, and you let yourself be a steady, non-anxious presence. That is the opposite of abandonment. That is the most profound, mature form of love imaginable.
I can see the power in that specific application. Being a non-anxious presence is incredibly difficult. To summarize my position in light of where we've gone today, I maintain that the let them theory is an unmatched tool for daily triage. It is a brilliant, necessary mechanism for unhooking our amygdala from the constant low-level slights of modern life in the workplace.
Absolutely.
However, I still firmly believe that applying it as a blanket philosophy risks isolating us. True human connection is sticky. It requires expectations. It sometimes requires us to demand better from our communities and to refuse to just let people drift away when the current gets rough. A society entirely composed of emotionally detached, perfectly self-regulated individuals might be peaceful, but I fear it would be a very quiet, lonely place.
And to summarize my stance, the let them theory, when inextricably linked to the proactive let me, is the ultimate blueprint for taking personal responsibility. By recognizing the biological limits of our control, we stop wasting finite energy trying to engineer the world around us.
Right.
It is not about emotional detachment at all. It is about emotional maturity. We finally stop trying to change others and start doing the much harder work of changing ourselves.
I think where we can certainly converge today is on the idea of locus of control. Identifying the hard boundary between what is within our power and what is not is the absolute foundational step toward any kind of mental well-being or resilience.
Absolutely. And figuring out how to apply this to our deepest, most complicated relationships requires rigorous, ongoing self-reflection.
It definitely does. Which actually makes me wonder, what book or theory are we going to tackle next time? There's so much more to explore in this space. To everyone listening, please leave your suggestions in the comments for the next episode. We'd love to hear what you want us to debate next.
Yes, please do. Until then, we invite you to observe where you are desperately paddling upstream in your own life and consider what might happen if you simply drop the oars.